everyone, welcome to our Crazy Life Scotland and my last Christmas in July video for 2025. Today I'm going to be doing this gorgeous paw ornament that I got recently from Temu, and it's a nice clear mould so you can use UV resin in it, and I think it's a lovely way to think about your fur baby at Christmas, putting that on the tree. So I am going to use UV resin today. I've got the Resiners UV resin which I was gifted. And I'm going to be using a gorgeous holographic silver glitter, a nice white glitter and a red glitter. So I've got my little tubs out ready to get started. The first one I'm going to use is the white glitter. I am going to use that in the trim of the hat and the bauble. I'm going to pop a little mirror tile underneath my mould just so that when I've got it under the UV light, the light can bounce off the mirror and help to cure it from the other side as well. I'm going to squeeze some of the UV resin into one of the little tubs. We don't need too much because it's a smallish area that we're doing. And I am then just going to add some white glitter. Again, I try to behave myself because I love glitter, but I don't want to use too much because it can stop the UV resin from curing. So I'm relatively good. I don't put too much in. I'm behaving. Now I'm going to mix the glitter and the UV resin together. It's a lovely holographic white glitter. It's not a true white, so there's lots of different colours in it, but I just love it. I think it's really, really nice. It is quite gloopy, but I'm kind of hoping that it'll be fine, and it does work out fine. But I didn't know that at the time. I just went for it. So all I'm going to do now is gently place it in the areas that I want it. In this case, it's in the bauble of the hat and the fur trim. So I'm just using my silicone tool to pop it where I want it and then spread it about. It's important to make sure that it gets right into all of the edges, all of the little nooks and crannies, because you don't want a hole left. So just make sure that it goes all around, and sometimes you will find that it looks like it's full, but then it sort of pulls away from the edges. So just keep a wee eye on it, and make sure that you've got enough in. I'm using my dotty tool to try to get it off of my silicone tool, because it is a bit gloopy, but it's all good, it's all good. I'm using my UV torch just to give it a sort of a quick cure while I'm doing the rest of it, and then once it's all done I will put it under the UV lamp for a few minutes. But the torch is enough just to keep it in place where we want it while we move on. Right, now I'm going to put some UV resin in one of the other tubs now, ready to get a different coloured glitter in. I just love working with glitter. Oh, I think that's why I love Christmas projects so much. And in goes some of this lovely holographic silver glitter. Look at that. I do put quite a lot in. Again, I'm pushing the boundaries. I know I'm pushing the boundaries, but I can't help it. So, yep, just going to do exactly the same again. I'm going to give it a stir, and then I'm going to pop it in the little paw pads. You'll notice there's a little heart shape that gets left blank, and that's intentional. That is a little raised heart, and that will get the base layer colour, if you know what I mean. Again, I'm just tacking it down with the UV torch so that we can move on. Now I'm putting some UV resin in the third little tub, and this is going to be for the hat. Yay! So guess what colour glitter I'm using here? Yeah, I'm going to put lots of red glitter in here, and then I'm just going to put it into the hat space exactly the same as I did before. With the hat, I do have to be careful to get the glitter and resin round a little nubbly bit. We don't want any holes there, or else we can't hang it up. So just make sure that you help the resin round. It would find its way eventually, but you're best to give it a helping hand with whatever tool you're using. Then another quick cure with the UV torch. And that is all of our UV resin done. While my UV resin was curing properly under the proper lamp, I have mixed up some epoxy resin. I think I've got about 50ml, 60ml, something like that. I can't remember. I've got other projects to be doing anyway, so yeah, I wanted to make sure I had plenty because I hate running out, you know that. Sorry, I had a little hair there that I was fishing out. So that is me ready, and I'm going to use a nice gold for the sort of background colour. And I didn't want to use a paste because they're quite matte. I like a nice shiny colour. I didn't want glitter because that would clash with the others, so I thought I'll go for a mica powder because that's always got a nice shimmer to it. So I have added that. To be honest, it's not my favourite colour now that I've mixed it in. I've got loads of different golds and I need to decide what one I really like. This one to me is more like a sort of light caramel colour. So, but anyway, I've added it now, so I'm going with it. So once that is all mixed, I am just going to add it to the mould. Sorry about my dog. Again, I'm going to use my dotty tool to help this resin round a little knobbly bit as well. You want to make sure because, yeah, you don't want any holes there. So that's it. That's all we need to do for this nice wee easy project. Going to let this cure and then I'll come back to you. Good morning, it's the next day and it's unmould time, yay! I'm actually quite impressed with this, it's got quite a good dome on it. It was filled right to the tippy top. So just gently unmoulding it, dead simple to do. I've got a little bit of overpour where the nubbly bit was, but that's easy enough to get rid of. So I'm just going to unmould it and wow, I love it. Love, love, love the shimmer of that glitter. Would you look at that? I just love it. The white is a little bit disappointing because, like I said, it's not a true white. It does look a bit sort of faded with the gold behind it, but I'm not too worried about that. I will fix that in a minute. But just a couple of bits of overpour, not a lot at all, and that will be easy enough to get rid of. I'll snip it off with scissors and then use my deburring tool, so that isn't an issue. But I just love the way this has turned out. I do, of course, want to add a few little extras to it. So what I am going to do, I thought it would be really cute to add a little bell to the bottom of it because it's like an animal, so like a little bell on a dog or cat collar. So I am going to do that. Unfortunately, they look like proper little bells, but they don't clang. They don't have a nice bell sound. Anyway, this is me just trimming off. I want to trim off the excess overpour first before I attach the bell because it is going on down here, so I need to do that just now. I don't want to use my deburring tool straight away because when the resin's still really soft it can gouge out the bits that you don't want it to. So I'm just taking scissors and gently snipping it away. Now before I add the bell to the bottom, I've decided I want to personalise it. So I'm going to make this one for my cat Lomond, so that we can put this on the tree at Christmas and have a decoration for Lomond, because we've got one for all the dogs, so we need one for the puppy cat. So I've just put some UV resin along the sort of fur trim of the hat, and I'm just spreading it out to the whole part of the hat so that it's all nice and even. Then I have these tiny little letters that I got from Temu, I think, and I'm going to put them on just for a wee change. I usually cut out decals and things with my Cricut, but I thought not everybody's got something like that, so I decided to use these letters that you can easily buy, and I'm just adding them on. I'm picking them up with my wax pencil and putting them where I want them. Now it's very hard to see on the camera, but that's exactly what I'm doing. So I carry on until I've got all the letters in place, and then I just sort of move them about a bit until they're nice and straight and the way that I want them. Once I'm happy with it, I just pop it under my UV lamp for about a minute or so, not too long. And then, yeah, I'm happy with it. What I would say is if the glitter was a proper white, it would probably stand out more, but I'm quite happy with it anyway. You can actually see it clearer in real life. Now I'm going to use this diamond glitter ready coloured UV resin from Temu for the little bauble of the hat because I want that to be whiter. So it's just the white colour, and I'm just squeezing some out the bottle and then taking my little silicone tool and pushing it to the edges, making sure that the bubble's all nice and covered. Now before I put that under my UV lamp, I'm going to put some of the red diamond glitter UV resin into the little heart space because I'm not keen on the gold. It doesn't look right for the heart. So I'm just popping some of that into the heart space, and again just moving it about. Doesn't need too big a layer, just enough to fill it up, just so that the heart really stands out. So I have done that, and then I'm just going to put the UV lamp over it all, to give it a good cure. And now it's time to add the bell. So what you can do is you can take like a bell like this that's got the little back to it and pop it, like just glue it on behind so that you're not drilling holes and things like that, which would be fine. But to me, that's a bit bulky for this piece, and it's the only ones that I've got. So I'm going to use an eye screw instead, which does mean drilling. So it basically is going to be pushed in there. Now, unfortunately, my drill has given up the ghost. I thought it just needed a good charge because it hadn't been used for a while, but I had it charging for hours and nothing happened. So yeah, that went in the bin, and there is another one on order from Temu. I don't have a hand drill, so what I decided to use instead is my weeding tool for my cricket, because it's a nice point and the resin is soft, so I should be able to poke a hole in it with that. I then get out my super glue and pour some of that in the hole, and then basically try to screw the eye hook in. It isn't as easy as I thought it was going to be, I have to say, because it was like, because the resin's so soft, as soon as I took out my weeding tool, the hole kind of closed up on itself. So yeah, I was fiddling about with it for a while, but I did get there eventually. Look. I will save you the agony, and I will take you to the point where I did actually manage to get it in. Once it actually gets started in the hole properly, it's easy enough just to screw it in, and it does stay in place, but my goodness was that fiddly. But we got there, It would have been much easier with a drill, but not to worry. Patience, that's all it took. I've not got a lot of it, but it did take some. Right, so then once I've got it properly screwed in, I decide to use some of my little rhinestone nail glue stuff round about it. I mean, there is glue in there anyway, but just to make sure that it is going to be nice and solid. So I'm just squeezing some out. It's just like a UV resin, basically. I'm squeezing some out round about the eye hook. No, yeah, the eye pin. Oh, whatever it's called. Anyway, the eye screw. You know what I mean. And then I used my UV torch to cure it so that it's nice and stable. Now we need to find a way to attach the bell to the, whatever it's called, the hole that I've just made. And I'm just going to use a jump ring for that. So I just get out a jump ring and do the usual. You twist it rather than pull it. You hook it through one, like the bell, and then hook it through the little eye pin thing, screw, whatever it's called. Close it up, and then that's it. And now we have our bell attached to our little pot ornament. Very cute. All I need now is a bit of ribbon or something. I've not got any red ribbon thin enough, so I got this red and white twine. I thought that will do. So I'm just going to do the very basics. Just going to poke it through the hole and tie a knot, and that's it. You know, I'm not very fancy when it comes to these things. I'm rubbish at bows and things like that. So I am basically keeping it as simple as possible. There we go. Just going to tie a knot. I want to make sure that I get it the right length for hanging, and then I just tighten the knot. And that's as fancy as I'm getting with this, because I am rubbish at bows. I do think about trying to actually tie a bow, but I give up and just trim off the excess. It's much easier that way. And then I can just hide the knot behind the ornament. It doesn't need to be up the top. And that is it. That is all we need to do. We have got an absolutely gorgeous pet Christmas ornament. You can have whatever name on it you want. I think the Lomond would have stood out a bit better if it was a proper white background, but I like it anyway. I think it's perfect like that. So there's the knot that I've hidden. You could put things on the back like Christmas 2025 or anything like that, but I'm just going to leave it as it is. And I love it. I think that's going to be such a versatile little mould, and it's so easy to do. You could colour it with micas, or you could use different epoxies, but I find that nice and easy. So if you've enjoyed this and found it useful, please do hit that thumbs up button for me. Talk to me in the comments below. Please do subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in our next one. Here's some photos. Bye!